Don't encourage them. There will be music if you do.
Really?
She actually wants music now. I
If you want to.
He's actually going for it now.
We can have a rave, you guys. I like it. This is a little known fact, a bit of trivia, if I may. Bryce and I actually have a band.
Oh, you probably didn't know that.
I didn't. That is cool. So tell us more about your band then.
Yeah, we'll have to perform a little bit from our single.
Yeah, it was our first single. Where did we start that?
I think it was formed in Australia.
Yeah.
I have no idea why this happened, but it did. It's a thing. Are you ready?
Okay, so our band is called Techno Dolphin.
Okay.
Everyone's like, is this for real? No, but really, if you guys, round of applause if you want to hear it, or we can go straight.
Yeah. I'm sensing a concert in London. I really am.
Headlining Techno Dolphin. Okay, here we go. Oh,
Sorry, we're band babblers.
This is what always happens. We come on to talk about Attack on Titan, and then we fall right into DJ Techno Dolphin. Buy our single.
We don't have a single. But...
I was about to ask whether we had a single. No, you let me down. I was expecting it. Oh.
Well, now we have to.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Oh, we can put it on Unlocked.
There we go.
Have you guys heard about Anime Unlocked? Show of hands.
So, yeah, you guys should all check it out. It's this new app that helps actors and voice actors connect to fans around the world. So there's streaming from all over the world that's happening. You can download it on the iOS store, and I think I'm going to jump on there later today.
And we'll record Techno Dolphin.
Yes.
The worst band in the world. Yeah. So.
Does that mean now that you can now audition for more dolphin parts?
Trina, how many dolphins have you auditioned for in the past?
I have auditioned for 2, actually. Which is why I know how to do dolphin voice. I've also played a sloth. That was odd. Because when they're like, oh, do a sloth noise, it's like, yeah, absolutely. What creatures have you played?
I've been a tiger, like a little baby tiger in this iPhone game called Disney Princess Palace Pets.
He's Jasmine's tiger, and he loves the weather in the desert, and you can comb his hair.
That's awesome.
And then I left and played Aaron Yeager. So you never know what you're gonna be when you're voice acting.
Such a range.
Yeah.
Tiny tiger,
Aaron Yeager.
Staying with Attack on Titan, what big surprises did you find? Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen the second season. What was the biggest surprise for you when you read the new seasons? Were you is there anything that made you go, what?
So much. Well, first off, both Trina and I have not read the manga, so if you guys have read the manga, don't tell us anything.
Please.
No spoilers. We really try to stick with the anime story. Who's seen all of season 2?
Dang, guys,
Nice.
that's dope.
So a few people haven't, so we'll try not to spoil anything, because that's a big thing. You don't want to get spoiled.
Don't tell them about the bit with Batman.
Wasn't expecting that, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. For those of you that haven't seen all of season 2, you should definitely check it out. It is epic. All the new Titans.
One of the biggest reveals, and without telling you guys what happened, but it was done so nonchalantly. If that's how, it was very Attack on Titan, because to me it was one of the biggest reveals in the whole series, and they just did it in a conversation, oh yeah, I'm this guy and he's that guy. And if that's how they reveal something like that, what's the big thing? What's the big reveal going to be?
Right? I'm dying to know about Beast Titan. I want to know so much, why do you get to talk? That's weird. And then, the last episode, so good.
The show to me is very much like Lost, where every episode you watch, you just are more confused. You get more answers, but it creates more questions. So it's yes, I know this, but then there's 2 more things that I don't know. So now we've gotten to the end of season 2 and I have more questions than before I started.
Does that not make you worry though, that because Lost, when it ended, everybody was like, that was rubbish, because they set themselves up so much and then they just couldn't actually answer it.
Oh, on Lost?
No, I mean, in talking about that was what happened on Lost. So when it comes to Attack on Titan, does that not kind of concern you a bit that the Japanese might just go, box themselves into a corner here, we don't quite know how to get out?
I mean, I feel like they've taken so much time. Like, they made us wait forever between season 1 and season 2, and every episode in season 2 just packed a punch. Like, every episode moved the story forward and made you more confused at the same time. So it's pretty incredible that they did that. So I'm hoping that, by the end, they figure out a way to tie everything together, and we finally get, the questions that we have answered.
We've only seen the first part of that season. There's apparently another part due next year. Have they given you any hints as to when you'll be voicing that, or?
When we're voicing season 3?
Yes.
So, according to Japan, we are supposed to have season 3 next year, in 2018, in the spring. However, if you will recall, they were like, season 2 Attack on Titan next year. That year passes. Season 2 Attack on Titan next year. Don't worry. 4 years later.
Yeah.
Season 2 Attack on Titan this year. So we're optimistic.
Yeah. That must be also kind of frustrating for you both. If you
The worst!
Yeah, it kills us.
It's awful because we don't read ahead and so we don't know what's going to happen. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but the last episode is so good. It's so good. And it leaves you hanging in this point where you're like, what is happening with the character development and with Mikasa and Aaron's relationship and with, why can he do what he's doing? What? And so now it's like, oh, amazing. We get to wait with bated breath for the next 12 months.
Yeah, and they're so good at making you go, oh, I'll just watch one more episode. I don't know if you guys had this experience, but I started watching and then just could not stop. And then the sun comes up and you're like, what have I done? Oh no.
Attack on Titan, the gateway anime. Is that wrong? That's probably wrong. Don't do drugs. Stay in school. All those things.
And when you first got those scripts for season 2 and you first got to read them and pick up from season 1, what were your reactions to that? And
now, the funny thing about working on anime is we don't get the scripts ahead of time.
right.
So most of the time we go in, we aren't sure what's going to happen. And for this season, it's what's called a simuldub. So they hadn't even created all of the episodes of the season. So going into season 2, we had no idea what was going to happen. And in Attack on Titan, anyone can die in any episode. So I'm always like, am I going to die?
No job security. That's what that boils down to. That was a joke. They can't all be gold.
Yeah, you really can't die at any time.
You died!
I died already! Yeah.
You died in that. Oh, sorry.
That was season 1, but everyone's seen season 1, right?
Right? Yeah, okay. So when you died.
Spoiler alert for you guys who haven't. I died.
In season 1, you died and you don't come back for a minute. It was terrifying. Because if the lead character doesn't have any sort of job security, what does that mean for me?
In the first, my first time watching the show, I was a fan and I watched it in Japanese, and there were only 6 episodes out in Japan. So episode 5, Eren is dead. Episode 6, Eren is still dead. I was like, they just Game of Thrones me. I love this show. That's when I was really hooked.
It's a good show. I really like it. And again, the last episode, you guys, in season 2 is so good. It's ridiculous. Okay, I have to tell this story. So, in a way, how do I say it to explain the scene without giving it away?
So, the last episode in season 2, Eren has this very strange moment where he's breaking down and he's crying and screaming and laughing, but all at the same time, which is a really weird thing to do.
Yeah.
And
challenging.
It's challenging, yeah. So I watched the last episode in Japanese, and that scene came up, and I was like, oh no, this is not going to be fun. And then I ran into Trina at a convention right before I went into recording, and she had just recorded her side of the scene, because we don't record at the same time. So it's one person in the booth at once. So she was in, recorded her scene. She saw what I was about to do, and she was like, "Oh no."
It was terrifying. Like, I saw him and I was like, "Hey man, when do you record next?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, on Tuesday." I was like, "The last episode, yeah?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be really hard." I'm like, "Oh my god, thank God!" Like, it's terrifying. It's all riding on you, buddy, but I trust in you.
And she's like, "No pressure, but it shows on your shoulders."
And then you recorded remotely.
Yes.
And
yes.
so he wasn't actually in the room with the director, and there was like a delay and all these other technical issues that they had to get through, but it had to be finished that day. And the way that his performance in that last scene and everything else is just amazing. And like, I like he was a friend and everything, and normally I don't put people up this much, but like, so good, you guys. I called him, and for like a solid 15 minutes, all I said was, "Man, it was so good. So good." And he was like, I get it. I was like, "But so good." So that's all I have to say. You have to watch season 2. And
I'm glad you liked it.
it's so good. I'm sorry. We're capitalizing or monetizing. We're stealing your time. If you have questions, we have answers.
So
Or do you have any more questions?
That's a perfect segue, actually. I can now say, if you'd like to stick your hand up, I can come round and you can ask your questions. Let's start off with Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog. The voice?
Hello there. It's good to be here in Scotland. Due to the despair and death that your characters have to go through, how emotionally draining was it working on the series?
Exhausting. That's why Attack on Titan Junior High was so nice. It was like a release of all of that stress and drama, and we just got to do crazy, wacky things. Like Eren was ridiculous in Attack on Titan Junior High. For you guys who have not seen that show, it's like we call it Attack on Titan Muppet Babies. Like there's literally a moment where Eren gets hit with a dodgeball, and I got to do this. Spinning in circles. So like the actual Attack on Titan is so serious, and Attack on Titan Junior High is so silly and wacky. Like it was a nice break from all that death and despair and destruction.
A lot of the scenes, especially like I think that's what's great about Attack on Titan is that it isn't just a one-dimensional like fighting battle show. That there is so much emotion invested in each character and each character's backstory, and in everybody that has been cast by the amazing director Mike McFarland, and it does take a lot out of you. Like I purposefully and for the majority of season 2 wouldn't schedule any other sessions afterwards because I was so emotionally drained. So yeah, it takes a little bit out of you, but I mean, hopefully people like it, and I guess they do. Because you guys are all here, so that's great.
I was physically beat up after those sessions because, like, there's moments in season 1 where Eren bites his hand. So to make it sound great, I bit my hand so hard that I left bruises. But it sounds awesome. And in season 2, there's this really epic fight scene, and Eren is like more unhinged than normal. So I literally unhinged my jaw during this scene because it sounds so crazy. Like. It makes me sound ridiculous. And then I bit my tongue. And it was kind of bleeding. But the next scene, Eren was spitting blood, so it sounded amazing. Because I was literally spitting blood onto the microphone. The next person who came in was like, "Ooh, who was in here before me?" Yeah, Attack on Titan. So, yeah, it's exhausting. Exhausting. But it sounds awesome.
You mentioned Muppet Babies there. Disney are bringing it back, apparently. If they do, and you could voice any of the Muppet Babies, who would it be and why?
Dang, that's a good question.
Wow.
Any of them, so Beaker is amazing. That one?
Yeah.
I like Beaker. Ooh, who's his little friend, the round one with the glasses? Yes! Or Gonzo? I mean...
Gonzo, yeah. Can I be the Swedish chef? That's who I want to be.
It almost makes you think, did they get Derby Titan from the Swedish Chef? Is it the illegitimate child?
Swedish Chef Titan.
So we have a question.
Played by Derby Titan. Derby Titan as the Swedish chef.
Do you guys remember Derpy Titan from season 1? He just like comes around the corner and is like flailing. It's like, what is wrong with that Titan? He's like, everything's wonderful.
He's my favorite character in the show. It's because it's so embarrassing to be killed by that one. Just like laughing. Could have been dead.
That's awful.
I have a question from.
That'd be awful. I'm sorry.
I have a question from an aptly dressing lady.
Yes.
Hiya.
Hello.
Big fan. Just got to clarify that. My question is, out of all the human deaths or horse deaths in Attack on Titan, which one has made you feel the saddest and made you feel really depressed, like, oh god, that character's just been eaten? Or that horse just got whacked across the field, I don't know, just anything.
Yeah, the horses being thrown in season 2 are just ridiculous.
All the horses.
All the horses.
All the horses. I think for me, the most emotionally upsetting was during the backstory of Mikasa, like when she's like with her parents and these human traffickers have just murdered her father right in front of her and then murder her mother right in front of her. It was because I'm portraying Mikasa, so you put yourself into that position, and that was pretty messed up. Imagining that my parents had both just been killed in front of me and that I had been kidnapped as a child, that was pretty upsetting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of moments that just have that shock value. So like episode 1, like Aaron's mom getting eaten in front of him, like, and it just raining blood like on him, like that's just crazy. So that moment, and then the Levi squad, all of the moments in the forest. Oh.
Right, you're gonna make me cry, stop.
That's awful. The minute you get invested in somebody, you're like, Petra's great! Like, you don't want to get invested in anybody else because it's like, oh, that's basically cursing them.
Yes.
An awful, awful death.
And Isabella, no regrets.
I'm sorry?
Have you seen No Regrets? Levi's backstory.
Ooh, no, I haven't watched that. You haven't?
Watch it.
Is it? Wait, hold on.
Watch it.
Should I not get attached to any of the characters when I see it?
Pretty much. Even horses, just don't do it.
That's so sad.
I won't get attached to any of the horses either. I learned my lesson. That horse is my
I'm gonna name you Sparkle. Oh. There's no way you're that aerodynamic. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the joke has a question, and apparently it's not horse related.
Oh.
It's not horse related.
Oh, okay, good.
As he said, it's not horse-related, but considering anime is full of screaming, was there ever a scene or scenes that just destroyed your voice, that was like painful, or it just would totally screw with it?
So Aaron talks and screams? He has no filter, like the whole time he's just yelling.
The whole time.
So yeah, the whole time, all of Attack on Titan. And like Trina, I've learned from season 1, I did not book any sessions the day before or the day after my recording on season 2, because I knew what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And I mentioned I was a fan of the show, so I was prepared for what I was gonna go into. When I auditioned for the show, I actually bought soundproofing for my booth at home, so my neighbors wouldn't call the cops on me. I think they still heard me. Yeah, Aaron screams a lot.
In the audition sides, so when you're auditioning for a show, they give you sides, which are basically like a rundown of the character, sometimes a picture of the character, and then the actual audition lines that you do. And I think one of them was like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to something kill you. I can't remember exactly. But just to be like somebody's neighbor and see like happy-go-lucky Bryce like come out and be like, hey man, going to work, have a great day. And then like hear like while you're cooking or something, I'm gonna kill you. But he seems so nice. I think that would be really disturbing.
Yeah, my neighbors, I don't think they know what to think. Like I come outside and they're like, because there's,
hey guys!
because all audition at like weird hours also. So it'll be like midnight and I'll be like, grenade!
You really should tell them what you do.
No, I'm not going to.
They're coming! Who is coming? Who is coming?
I think I have terrible night terrors.
You know it's going to happen one day when someone's moving and then moving out and the realtor's showing them around the house and all you hear is Bryce going, grenade!
I'll time that out. I'll wait until someone comes to check out the house next door. Then I'll have some good auditions.
It's a lovely mid-century modern. It's a very safe neighborhood.
The neighbors are very friendly.
We have a question from a person here.
Hi, what's your favourite quotation that you had to say while recording?
For Attack on Titan? Favorite quote. I really loved all the screaming. It's super cathartic. Just to be able to like save up all of like the stuff that happens in your life where you're like, oh, that's amazing, thank you for cutting me off in traffic, or oh, yeah, no, absolutely, go ahead, go right in front of me at the grocery store. I was just standing here with my arms full, it's not a big deal. Or like at the airport, like, no, sweet little old lady, let me help you. Oh, no, that's fine. That was a thing. She had a little bag. It was filled with. It doesn't matter. So like saving all those times where you're like, ugh, but you know, like this is not the time. And you just save it, and then you go into this soundproof booth and you just let it go. Is my favorite part of Attack on Titan. It's not great afterwards because then you're like, that was a really great session. You know, but at the time it's great. Do you have a favorite line?
Yeah, and this is the line I always love to do because I get to go into angry Aaron mode. So,
Let me just move over a little.
So, Aaron's inside the Titan's stomach, and then he like busts out. There's like this little baby Titan. He like punts that one, and then he's like stepping on this other Titan's neck, and he goes, "Get up, let me kill you again, and again, and again." It's a good moment. My neighbors love that one too.
He's like the nicest, sweetest guy ever. Like he's just one of those guys that you're like, oh man, I'm a horrible person. Dang it. But like you just meet him and you're like, oh, you can't possibly be that angry. And then he does a line and he transforms into this crazy person. It's terrifying sitting next to him because, and this is a small little tidbit about Bryce, he's actually a lethal weapon. If you Google Bryce Papenbrook roundhouse kick, you will see him roundhouse kick a person and then that person not get up. So when So when I'm sitting next to my friend Bryce and he's like, hi, I'm Bryce, everything's wonderful, I'm a great person. And then he turns into this angry screaming thing. I'm like, please don't roundhouse kick me.
I just want to highlight that someone actually said, go on! This is like crazy.
It's terrifying.
Right, so we have a question for this lady here.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, do you find it kind of awkward when you've got to record like all the like grunts and stuff when they're like jumping or something, or when they're getting hit? And also,
Yeah, it's really interesting to get used to. I also do this thing in a couple other shows. They're called Bad Anime Reacts. And I started with Blue Exorcist just to make the director laugh. I'll wait till like a really quiet moment where they're supposed to like look around a corner, just like a small like breath, like, and I'll go, ugh! Like there's a moment where Wynn's dialing a phone, and I had to give an effort for every single time he pressed the button, like, I love doing that. The blooper reel for Sword Art Online Season 2 is just like 80% me.
That's awesome. We're gonna try that.
Yeah, you gotta wait till a really like tender, soft moment, and then give them a good, those are good. To just see their face after, they're like, caught off guard. Okay. We'll try that again.
It's my first day.
I have a question here.
Hello, I was wondering, when did you get the audition for Attack on Titan and any backstory to that?
When did you get the audition for Attack on Titan?
So, my auditions were the first time I auditioned for Funimation. I live in Los Angeles. Funimation is in Dallas, Texas. So I was actually very lucky to get the auditions. I mentioned that I was a fan of the show, and I was talking to my buddy Patrick Seitz at a convention. Yeah, Patrick Seitz, he's awesome. So we were talking about the show, and he got the auditions. He reached out to Mike McFarlane, the director, and was like, hey, my buddy Bryce would love to read for you. Can I pass those along to him? And Mike's like, yeah, sure. And I got an email from Mike with those auditions, and yeah, the rest was kind of history. I knew what I was getting into, and I really gave it everything in those auditions. So something must have stood out. I mean, the insanity that I put into those. I could barely talk after the audition, so I think that's what stood out to Mike.
If your neighbors called the police on you after your audition, I had seen, my older brother actually told me about Attack on Titan, and I had seen the first episode and I stopped. And then I was told that we got the property, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing! And I went in to read, because I don't like to watch ahead or read ahead so that I can be in the moment with the character at the time. It was like a double-edged sword. Like if I had been cast, or if I hadn't been cast, then I could like binge watch it in that really unhealthy, like your friends need to check on you kind of way. But since I was cast, it was like, oh, well now I'm not gonna be able to watch it. So it was good and bad, and I mean I would have been more than happy to be girl B that gets crushed by a boulder in the first scene. So yeah, the audition process is pretty easy at Funimation, because I've worked at Funimation for several years now, among other studios, and so I was like, oh Mike, this is such a dope show, I really love Sasha, like I really, really love her. And he was like, I really want you to read for Mikasa though. I was like, but Sasha likes potatoes, and I love carbs. But, you know, I'm very, very fortunate to have been cast as Mikasa, and I love her as a character. I think she's so cool. So cool! That's all.
We're up here at the back.
Oh, hi. Where are we? Oh, hi!
So someone's asked what's your favourite line to, what was your favourite line to record? What was your least favourite line to record? Or Attack on Titan?
Oh.
Least favorite line.
My least favorite line to record on Attack on Titan was the first episode of season 2, because there was so much hype about it, and like we hadn't seen it yet, and I didn't watch the Japanese before we recorded the first episode, so I like took 2 days off before the first session, and then I took like the day off the next day, and I was super stoked, and I was ready to record, and I was ready to scream, and I'd saved up all of these experiences, and I was like really tweaked out. I drank a lot of Red Bull. I was ready, you know. And then like the entirety of what I recorded for the first episode of season 2 is this. Aaron? No, I like this scarf. And that's it.
After 4 years of waiting.
After 4 years and like getting really amped up, like I go in, I'm like, Mike, I'm ready to do this. And he was like, no, that was frustrating.
Yeah, I had flown out to Texas to like reset my character and get back into the part, and I had just a little bit more than you. I only had a few lines. I think, I don't know, a least favorite moment. I think every moment in that show is great. I think after I was like, oh, that was hard, after some of the big giant screams. But then they sound great, so yeah. It's hard to choose a moment that you dislike.
Yeah, for sure. And I still liked the first, it was great, we still came back.
We just wanted more.
I wanted so much more. I still want more. Like, the fact that it was just 12 episodes, like, broke our hearts as much as it broke y'all's. Like, it was like, oh, wait, what do you, that's it? Like, really? That's where we're stopping right now? That was awful. Awful.
We need more.
Yum!
Yeah.
Are we right up the back in the mid now?
Hello.
Hello. My question is more directed toward Bryce.
Sure.
Not to do with Attack on Titan now, but more to do Blue Exorcist.
Yeah.
Recently, the second series came out, and it's more to do with the source material following the Imp eyes, the Imp King's eyes. Have you been contacted at all to do the voice of Renakuma again?
Actually, yes. So season 2 of Blue Exorcist is fully dubbed, and that was a show that was gone forever because we recorded season 1 5 years ago. So it was amazing for that show to come back. Like, I always leave the booth like feeling a certain way after recording different characters. So like Aaron, I would leave the booth and I would still be angry and I would fly back to LA and I would yell at people in traffic. Like Reno Kumara, I leave the booth and like I can't stop smiling. He's just one of those characters that's so much fun, even though he's the son of Satan. And it's great that Johnny is sitting down just a little bit from me. Johnny plays my twin in that show, and he's a four-eyed mole face.
That's not nice.
I'll just surprise him with some of those.
You shouldn't talk about people like that.
Yeah, but he is. So yeah, season 2 was really, really cool. It was great to get back into that Blue Exorcist mode. And hopefully it'll be out in the UK very soon. I know just about 3 weeks ago it hit Hulu in the States. So I'm not sure when it's coming here, but soon. Fingers crossed. Yeah!
I have a question on the opposite side here.
Yes.
Apart from Attack on Titan, who's your favourite like lead character to do the voice of, like Kirito or someone like that?
Wow, it's so difficult to pick favorites because I've been really fortunate to book a lot of awesome characters. I've also booked a lot of really insane characters and angry characters that have no filter in the volume of their voice. I don't want them to scream at me from inside my head, so I'm not going to pick one. It's really, in all honesty, it's really difficult to book this kind of work. So I feel fortunate for all of the characters I've been able to voice.
Samesies.
I have a question here then.
Aside from your own character that you voice, what is your favourite character in the Attack on Titan series?
Sasha.
I'm going to play right into the ship. Levi.
So wait, what's your OTP in Attack on Titan? What's your OTP in AOT?
I mean, the couple that I want is Derpy Titan and Santa Claus Titan. They're just perfect together.
They should have their own series.
I think so, a spin-off. It'd be incredible.
What do you think Derpy Titan and Santa Claus Titan, what would their series center around? Because I'm picturing like hijinks in Manhattan in an oversized loft.
Yes, that's it.
But that's me. Yeah.
Hi, it's mostly towards Bryce. What's your favourite line as Maso Mikita from Durarara?
There's a few really good ones as Maso Mikita. Who's seen Durarara? Yeah! Durarara Season 2. Woo! So a few people haven't, so I'll describe Maso Mikita. He's a high school student that has really cheesy pickup lines.
Nice!
So, like, going into work and saying things like, live by the booby, die by the booby. It's a good day at work.
That is a good day at work. Live by the booby and die by the booby.
It's a motto I actually live by. It was close to my heart.
You should get that tattooed in like Sanskrit on your arm. Dude, that is such a sweet tat. What does it say? Live by the booby, die by the booby. In Sanskrit, I don't know why.
So, there's this one moment, and we kind of adjusted it from the Japanese. In Japanese, there's this group of 3 high school students, And Henri, the female in the group, is standing right next to Masao Nikita. And in Japanese, it said something like, Henri is bootylicious. And we looked at that character and we're like, she's not really bootylicious, she's more boobylicious. So the line got changed to, Henri's so boobylicious, so sexy cute. Yes, it's so good. And I met one of the Japanese actors, and I told that story, and I asked him, like, how do you say boobylicious in Japanese? And this is how you say it. This is all the Japanese I know. Boing. That's it. I feel like the hands help. You're welcome, everyone. It's a very educational panel.
Anyone going to Japan, do not do that in a large group of people. Right, we have a question from gentleman here.
So...
Yes, I wrote Trina!
That's all the Japanese you know.
That's it!
My last name is Japanese. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You need to teach me more than just boing.
Well, now...
It has to go up and down, too.
Well, now it doesn't. Boing.
Yeah.
Now I know 2 words in Japanese. Yes,
So my question goes out to both of you. My question is that I'm an actor and I also have a really large interest in voice acting. So my question is really to both of you, what were the main ways that you found to get into voice acting? What are some good practices and what were the critical steps that really anyone can employ other than sheer luck and being in the right place at the right time, which is often what it comes down to? What are the best tips you can give to someone who would love to get into voice acting?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to...
well, I'll take the lead on this because I'm far smarter. Far smarter is not the way to say that. Far more intelligent. But no, that's not true. I'm not. Tips for being a voice actor. I will say that as you've already stated and as Bryce and I have stated over the course of this panel, being a voice actor or being an actor in general is a lot of luck. And it is, there are so many people in this field that are so talented. And every single time I'm cast or anyone is cast, it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I've been an actor my whole life. I started acting when I was 9 in theater and working professionally when I was 13. And I never sought out to be a voice actor. I always wanted to be an actor, but not necessarily a voice actor. And for me, a lot of what acting is, whether it's voice acting or stage acting or commercial or industrials or film or television, is just being confident in what your dreams are and who you want to be and the kind of life you want. That life isn't always glamorous. That life doesn't always lead to amazing fans, and that life doesn't always lead to riches and whatever. But if you truly, in your heart of hearts, can't imagine being happy in any other profession at all, then I say the most important advice I can give you is just be true to yourself and be willing to make those sacrifices that you will have to make if you want to be an actor. And if you can imagine any other job that you could be happy in, that will be a million times easier. So not to put you down or anything, because there's nothing that anyone could have said to you or me or anybody that really wants to do it that would discourage them. So just have that and know that in your heart of hearts, as if this is what you, I don't know why I said this, if this is what you really want to do, then you'll do it, and you'll find a way. And no one story is the same about how somebody got into voice acting or about this is the formula you follow and then you will become successful. I would just say believe in yourself and in your talent. Hone that talent. Surround yourself with other people that believe in themselves and believe in you, and that's the best advice I have.
Yeah. Like Trina said, there's not one way to get into this industry, and that's the sort of challenging yet exciting part of it. There's no trick to it. So I wish I knew the secret answer of if you do this, this, and this, you will become a actor or voice actor. There's just not that answer. So for me, I grew up in a family of actors. My dad was working on Power Rangers when I was 8 years old. Yeah! He was the voice of Rito Revolto, the skeleton guy, and a bunch of other monsters on Power Rangers. And they needed a kid's voice, and my dad's like, he's a kid, throw him in the movie! And I became a voice actor.
How old were you?
8. Yay, child labor! So just growing up around that, I didn't think that I would end up being a voice actor. I actually went to UCLA, I studied political science and philosophy. I was all ready to go to law school, and then I booked a voice job. And then I booked another one, and booked another one, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give this a real shot. So there's no trick. I just think, you know, developing yourself as an actor, practicing as much as possible, getting a great agent is a big part. You know, having a great voice demo, that's like your business card as a voice actor. But I wish I knew the trick.
Yeah. But best of luck to you, sincerely.
We have a question from a lady here.
Being a voice actor, is there ever been a line on Attack on Titans that you just stood there laughing for like a solid few good minutes because you just could not get the line out? Have you ever done a line that just makes you wet yourself laughing?
Listen, my effluvia is my business. Effluvia means bodily fluid.
That's the word of the day.
The word of the day.
Learning so much here. Trading this Rice is worth boy.
In Attack on Titan, I mean, it was so intense, and there was so much emotion, and it was so ferocious all the time. Ferocious is not a word. I didn't really have any like, oh, this is hilarious. Most of the time, the director, Mike McFarland, would have to like put up kitten videos because I'd be so lost in my own head and like in the world. He'd be like, it's not real. It's not real. You're not dying. Everything's okay. Look at these cats. And I'd be like, that's amazing. So I mean, there have been other shows where I'm like, I can't say that. I was once an Australian grandmother that was experimenting with S&M in a hotel room next door to the main characters. That was a funny line.
You never know what you're going to be when you're a voice actor.
You have no idea when you go in the booth who you're going to be that day. But yeah.
S&M grandma.
You know? From Australia. Yeah. That was random. That was a weird day. What about you? Did you have any lines in AOT or in other shows that you were like, can't?
I mean, totally agree. Like, Attack on Titan was a very serious show, and for the majority of the recording, we stayed in the moment. There was one moment where, because of the things around this moment, I couldn't do this line. So we got to this one part where this pole goes through Aaron's shoulder. And of course, he doesn't pull it out this way, he goes like the other direction.